Could the hottest fragrance of the year be your mom? Wait, no, that's not it. Could the hottest fragrance of the year be something other than a Jean Paul Gaultier? Yeah, that's it. We've had a lot of bottles in our faces over the last few years that prominently feature a bulge. I mean, for what it's worth, Le Mans, you know, it crushes. Le Beau, it crushes. But this year, could the #1 fragrance, the most hyped fragrance, end up being a Ralph Lauren? Could it be aliens? Yes, it could. Hey friends, Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're well. Yes, the new Ralph Lauren Ralph's Club New York could be one of the hype beasts toward the end of this year, and today we're gonna be taking a look at it, and more specifically, how it smells. And also, I have a bottle to give away to one of you. So this little beauty right here is $135 US at full retail as of this video. And I bought mine from Macy's.com. And then this one arrived in the mail like a week and a half later, I guess from Ralph Lauren? It didn't say Ralph Lauren on the package. How did you get my address? Don't send me stuff. What are you doing? But I'll give it away to one of you guys. Anyway, enough of that. I'll have this linked in the description below. Let's go ahead and take a look at that presentation. So here we have the box. So on the front, you have the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size, and concentration. It is an eau de parfum, and notice that size, 110 mils. Did I say 100 mils earlier? I feel like maybe I did. It's just habit at this point. So yeah, an interesting bottle size, ever so slightly larger than your more typical bottle, which is a good thing. I'd rather it be 110 than 90. On one side, you have a QR code. On the other side, you say that this packaging supports responsible forestry. Nice. On top, you have RL and then eau de parfum. On the back, your ingredients, your caution information, and your barcode. And then on the bottom, the batch code 22Z32F7. And here we have the bottle, your typical Ralph's Club styling, only this time with a reflective silver finish, reminiscent of how the new Myself Absolute is done up. So you can see through this pretty easily, especially if you hold it up to light. And it is also a fingerprint magnet. On the front, you have the little Ralph's Club R logo. You have Ralph Lauren as well. You also have Ralph Lauren around the collar of the cap. You have the Ralph's Club logo on top of the cap as well. Also says Ralph Lauren on the back of the bottle. And then on the bottom, you have a sticker with your badge code. And in typical Ralph's Club styling, opens up like so. And you know what we do. Let's go ahead and do a couple sprays. Here we go. Solid. Now, before we hop into the fragrance, guys, here are some codes you can use to save money across different websites and an update on the Gift Express code. So it's Gents15 gets you 15% off, but now if your order is over $400, otherwise 10% off. The reason it changed is because the old code was single use only. So if you used it once, you could no longer use it again, but now you can use it
unlimited times. You have infinite power.
Or actually just infinite number of code usages for that one. All the other codes are as they have always been, other than the JOMASHOP ones, which change like every 3 months, and those only work within the app. All right, Ralph's Club New York. How does it smell? Well, actually, before that, just real quick, a shout out to Ralph's Club / Ralph Lauren for naming it New York instead of something derivative of Elixir. But to be fair, they already do have Ralph's Club Elixir, so. But hey, good job, New York. What a nice flanker name. I guess, I don't know. Now, one of the big selling points of this fragrance from Ralph Lauren is the usage of black currant. Actually, in the announcement of this fragrance, that was one of the things they really pointed out. They were like, for the first time ever, black currant being used in a men's fragrance. Ignore all the fragrances before that used it though, because we're #1, we're the first ones. Okay. Ultimately, that's just marketing. It doesn't really matter as long as the fragrance smells good. So this one opens up fresh and sweet. Yes, that combination that so many people love, so many people are after, that's what this one does right off the rip. It does have a touch of tartness from that black currant, so you can pick that up. It is not an Aventicey type black currant. It never leans green or harsh. Like I said, it's just more this nice fruity tartness that's in there. It blends smoothly with the citrus that's in here, the mandarin, the bergamot, and so you end up with this really sweet, fresh, fruity cocktail when you first spray it on. And off the top, it has this almost like soft, powdered candy edge to it. Lavender and geranium come in early on, and yeah, those notes are used pretty much all the time in men's fragrances, but it works well. You know, it's contemporary, it's modern, it's masculine, it's clean, and it kind of helps keep the fragrance grounded. You know, it adds that juxtaposition to all of the citrus and the sweet fruits that are going on off the top. Because if it was just that, maybe it starts to lean, you know, too far in that bubblegum direction, right? But the lavender and the geranium, they help ground everything. And it ends up coming across as like a fresh out of the shower, but a little bit sweeter kind of vibe, if that makes any sense. The blackcurrant though does add a nice twist. I will give it that. That blackcurrant keeps it a little bit more interesting because if you take that completely out, then the opening here, while yes, super pleasant, easy to wear, compliment pulling, all that stuff, you know, the stuff you would expect, it would be way more basic if that blackcurrant wasn't there. So it's a good thing that it is. But to my taste, maybe they could have gone even further, you know, with that blackcurrant. Just give it a little extra push, a little more pop. That being said, they did keep it really well balanced for basically everybody to enjoy. And maybe if they pushed it too far, it would have made it something more specific, right? Or more of a specific taste, I should say. A specific, essentially that's how the old English coming out of the mouth, and you're pretty good. Only been working at it for decades, you know? So one day I'm gonna be real good with this English here. As it transitions into the mid, the sweetness is there and it's really pleasant in the air. Really good. It just kind of hangs there in the air, that sweetness. It's not cloying. It's very well done, smooth, well blended. You start to get this lightly green aromatic edge that comes out and starts to kind of envelop the fragrance. So when you first spray this on, you don't really get as much of that. And then as that sweetness, you know, steps back just a little bit, that's where the aromatics start to come up. Now, it's not enough to push the fragrance into like green territory. You know, it doesn't start to smell like a green scent or anything like that. It just gives it a nice little lift. You also get this semi-sweet fir note that starts to slowly build up from the underground. You know, it starts to come up a little bit more and more as the fragrance dries down. It's soft, it's restrained, just adds a little bit of depth to the fragrance. And that fruity character from the opening, that black currant, the citrus, it's still there, but it's kind of like rippling underneath everything else. The lavender and the geranium, they've settled in more and they're a bit more prominent through the mid than the fruits are. They're smooth, they're polished, the fragrance is still very clean, it's fresh, it just has more of that aromatic dimension as it dries down. And once you hit that far dry down, things do shift more. So that sweetness, it has mainly dissipated once you've hit the dry down, and you get this oak moss that comes out. It has a little bit of like a fresh, spiced woodiness, that kind of aspect. And then of course those aromatics, you can still pick those up as well, but it does still stay smooth. And part of that is gonna be because of the bourbon vanilla that you can pick up in the dry down. It doesn't go really heavy with the vanilla. Like when you hear bourbon vanilla, especially nowadays, you may think of like fragrances that are very heavy, rich, syrupy, overly sweet and warm. You know, things like in the Stronger With You hemisphere, you know, stuff kind of like that. That's not what's going on with the vanilla here though. It has a slight powdery touch to it, not overly powdery, but just a little bit. And Ralph's Club New York has this faint herbal edge when you hit that far dry down as well. So it takes on more of like a classy, kind of gentlemanly feeling the longer that it's on your skin, while still retaining some echoes of the sweetness from the opening and the mid into the dry down. So it's a fragrance that does change a good amount, but as it does dry down and as it does transition through those changes, it works. Like there's nothing here where you're smelling it and you're going, it's kind of weird, you know, I don't like this part or that part. It works, and it does what Ralph Lauren kind of typically tries to do, at least from my point of view. They try to make these fragrances that are sometimes a little bit sporty, and that's not what this one is, but they try to make fragrances that are very approachable, very easy to wear, versatile fragrances, but a lot of times they do try to work in like a classy element, you could say. So you'll have a lot of their fragrances like in the Polo Blue line, for example, that yeah, they're fresh, they're blue fragrances or whatever, but as they dry down, they have like a classy aspect to them, and an aspect to the fragrance where you could wear that scent in a more formal setting and it would work. You know, it wouldn't stick out as like shower gel the whole way through. And kind of the same thing is going on with this one. So you've got that fresh, sweet opening that really tries to grab attention. The black currant gives it a nice little twist. And as it dries down, it maintains some of that sweetness, but slowly lets it settle. And then as it does settle, you get those other notes that come out. Some of those aromatic notes, some of the woodsy aspects, the oak moss that comes out, but they keep it smooth with that bit of vanilla as it dries as well. So you have that kind of transition from a fruit forward sweetness to more of a slightly warm, a little bit powdery vanilla sweetness once you hit that far dry down. So it's kind of giving you both, right? It's giving you that fresh sweet, that outgoing, that versatility aspect. And then as it dries down, the slightly more dressy aspect, but still keeping the remnants from the opening to keep it really easy to pull off. So buttoned up, but not so much so that you smell it and you go, okay, I can wear this to like black tie events and that's it, right? Now let's talk seasonality, performance, versatility. When would you use this? So the longevity of this one is actually very good. It sticks on my skin for a long time. Spray it on clothing, obviously gonna last even longer. Projection, a little bit more on the average side. Not bad, you know, it's not weak, not a skin scent or anything like that, but in this age of apocalyptically strong fragrances, most people would probably consider it more on the moderate side of things. Still though, it's definitely strong enough to get you noticed. If you spray heavier, obviously it's gonna project longer. And I can't complain because, as I said, the longevity off my skin is solid. And as for versatility, this is truly one of those anytime fragrances. You wanna wear it during summer? It'll work. Spring? It'll work. Fall, winter, sure. And it works daytime or evening, either one. The fresh aspect makes sure that it's gonna work during the day. And then as it dries down, that more aromatic aspect and the sweetness make sure it will work during the evening. So with all of that said, is Ralph's Club New York actually worth checking out? Like if you're passing by your local Macy's counter, assuming you have a local Macy's and you see this, should you give it a try? In my opinion, yeah, for sure. This stuff is solid, extremely versatile, easy to wear, Swiss Army knife type of scent. Daytime or evening, pretty much any season. Like I said, you get that fresh, sweet aspect off the top that's gonna pull attention. And as it dries down, it classes up a little bit, but still maintains enough sweetness that people are really going to enjoy it without going full bore like so many fragrances nowadays do. So it gives you a nice little change of pace from some of the other sweet beasts out there. So it's something easy to wear, attention grabbing, refined, presentation looks pretty nice, performance not bad, and it does introduce some things that are not used as often in men's designer fragrances nowadays, even if it doesn't push them really hard. The fir, the oak moss, the black currant, you don't see those used all that often in men's designer fragrances, at least not right now. And like I said, they didn't go hardcore with the oak moss, they didn't go hardcore with the black currant, but they gave you enough to make it a little interesting while still keeping it, like I said, firmly entrenched in the please wear me every single day type of scent. The price is not outrageous either. 110 mils, 135 bucks, eau de parfum. Credit where credit's due. A lot of brands are charging way too much nowadays, like ripping people off. So with something like this in terms of pricing, you know, it's worth pointing out. I'm not saying it's the cheapest thing out there, but I am saying comparatively speaking to some other stuff, pretty good, decent. And as far as the whole Ralph's Club lineup, this one is probably right there at number 2. Probably slot Ralph's Club Elixir as number 1, and then this one right there alongside it, especially as time goes on and this one drops at discounters. At that point, oof, like if this ever gets close to the price that the original Ralph's Club is going for, steal. That is a steal. I'm not saying it will, but if it does. Let's go ahead and do the giveaway. So here it is. It's a full bottle unsprayed, but it did arrive in like a media box. So I don't have a proper box for it, but I'll package it up nicely, make sure it doesn't shatter. So if you wanna be entered in the giveaway, all you have to do is like the video, be subscribed to the channel, leave me a comment below. In the comment, just let me know your favorite Ralph Lauren fragrance. It could be one of the discontinued ones, whatever you like or liked. If it is discontinued, rest in peace. I'll pick a winner with random comment picker, post it up on the post tab of the YouTube channel. If you're the winner, hit me up. I will ship it out to you. So there we go. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.